Welcome to today's presentation. Let's begin with an introduction to vitamin K. Vitamin K is actually a group of similar, fat-soluble vitamins. These vitamins are essential for our body because they play a central role in two key processes: blood coagulation, which is how our blood clots, and calcium metabolism, which is important for healthy bones and teeth. The name vitamin K comes from the German word coagulation, reflecting its vital role in coagulation. Interestingly, vitamin K was discovered back in 1929 by a scientist named Henrik Dam. He came across it through experiments involving chicks that were fed cholesterol-deficient diets. This discovery helped us understand just how important vitamin K is for our health and its connection to blood clotting and calcium regulation. So, as we explore further, keep in mind how crucial vitamin K is for maintaining our body's balance and proper function. Now, let's explore the different types of vitamin K first. We have vitamin K1, also known as phylloquinone. This form is primarily found in green leafy vegetables like spinach, kale, and broccoli. Its main role is in blood clotting, which is essential for stopping bleeding and healing wounds. Next, we have vitamin K2, or menaquinones. This group includes several subtypes, ranging from Mk4 to Mk13. Interestingly, our body produces these forms through bacteria in the intestines. Vitamin K2 is especially important because it plays a significant role in maintaining bone health and supporting our cardiovascular system by helping to prevent calcium buildup in arteries. Finally, there's vitamin K3, known as menadione. This is a synthetic form of the vitamin. It's water-soluble and is mainly used in animal feed. However, it's not suitable for human consumption because it can be toxic, which is why it's banned in most countries. Understanding these different forms helps us see how vitamin K contributes to various aspects of our health, from blood clotting to bone strength and heart health. Let's take a closer look at the chemical structure of vitamin K. Both K1 and K2 share a common feature: a quinone ring, which is central to their biological activity. Now, the key difference lies in their side chains. For vitamin K1, you'll notice it has a phytyl side chain, which is a long, saturated hydrocarbon chain. This structure helps K1 interact with plant-based sources, like leafy greens. On the other hand, vitamin K2 has a different side chain composed of repeating isoprenoid units. These are small building blocks that form a longer chain. This is often represented as MKN, where N indicates the number of these units. For example, MK7, a particularly important form of K2, has 7 of these isoprenoid units. Let's look at the diagrams now. Insert structure diagram of K1. Here, you can see the quinone ring attached to the phytyl chain, and insert structure diagram of MK7, which illustrates the repeating isoprenoid units in K2, specifically MK7. This structural difference is significant because it influences how vitamin K functions in our body, especially in terms of bioavailability and activity. Understanding these details helps us appreciate how different forms of vitamin K work in various biological processes. Now, let's take a closer look at the mechanism of action. Vitamin K functions as a crucial cofactor for the enzyme gamma-glutamyl carboxylase. This enzyme is responsible for a process called carboxylation, which modifies specific glutamic acid residues in proteins, converting them into gamma-carboxyglutamic acid, or GLA for short. This modification is essential because it enables these proteins to bind calcium ions effectively. Calcium binding, in turn, is vital for the activation and function of several key proteins involved in blood clotting. Specifically, vitamin K-dependent carboxylation is required for activating clotting factors such as II, also known as prothrombin, VII, IX, and X. It's also necessary for the activation of proteins C and S, which are important regulators of the clotting process. So, in summary, vitamin K plays an indispensable role by enabling these proteins to perform their functions properly, especially in the context of blood coagulation and preventing excessive bleeding. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the physiological roles of this vital nutrient. First, blood clotting is a crucial process that helps prevent excessive bleeding after injuries. It's essential in the synthesis of prothrombin and other clotting factors, which are key proteins that work together to form blood clots and stop bleeding. Without adequate levels, this process could be impaired, leading to bleeding issues. Moving on to bone health, this nutrient activates osteocalcin, a protein that plays a significant role in bone formation. Osteocalcin helps facilitate calcium binding within the bone matrix, which is vital for maintaining strong and healthy bones. So, it's not just about preventing deficiency, but actively supporting the structural integrity of our skeletal system. Lastly, in terms of cardiovascular health, this nutrient influences the activity of matrix GLA protein, or MGP. MGP is a powerful inhibitor of arterial calcification, meaning it prevents calcium deposits from forming in our arteries. This is critical because arterial calcification can lead to stiffening of the arteries and increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. Overall, these roles highlight how interconnected our nutrient intake is with maintaining proper physiological functions, from blood clotting to bone strength and heart health. It really underscores the importance of ensuring adequate levels for overall well-being. Let's take a closer look at the dietary sources of vitamin K first. We have vitamin K1, also known as phylloquinone, which is primarily found in leafy green vegetables. Think of kale, spinach, collard greens, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts as some of the richest sources. These foods are excellent for boosting your vitamin K1 intake naturally. Moving on to vitamin K2, or menaquinone, the sources are a bit different. Natto, a fermented soybean, is actually the richest source of vitamin K2, which highlights the importance of fermented foods in our diet. Other good sources include cheese, egg yolk, liver, and various fermented foods. These foods help provide the K2 we need for different bodily functions. One important point to remember is that the absorption of vitamin K is enhanced when consumed with dietary fats. Since vitamin K is fat-soluble, including a small amount of healthy fat in your meal can improve how well your body absorbs it. Connecting this back to our overall discussion, understanding where vitamin K comes from helps us make smarter dietary choices. Whether we're focusing on leafy greens for K1 or fermented foods and animal products for K2, incorporating these sources into our diet supports healthy blood clotting and bone health. Let's talk about absorption and metabolism. Once fats are consumed, they are primarily absorbed in the small intestine, specifically in the jejunum and ileum. This process requires the help of bile salts, which emulsify fats to make them easier to digest, and pancreatic enzymes that break down fats into smaller molecules. After absorption, the fats are transported through the lymphatic system via chylomicrons, which are specialized particles that carry lipids through the lymph before entering the bloodstream. It's also important to note that while the liver stores some fats, the amount stored is quite small. Because of this, regular intake of fats is necessary to meet the body's needs. This process highlights how our body efficiently handles fats, ensuring they are absorbed, transported, and stored appropriately to support overall health and energy balance. Now, let's look at the daily requirements for vitamin D for adults. Men generally need about 120 micrograms per day, while women require around 90 micrograms daily. Infants, specifically those from 0 to 6 months, need approximately 2 micrograms each day to support their rapid growth and development. It's also important to note that pregnant and lactating women have slightly increased needs, as their bodies are supporting both their own health and that of their babies. However, one key point to remember is that the adequate intake, or AI, for vitamin D can vary quite a bit from country to country. Sometimes, these recommendations are not always based on what's optimal for bone health or cardiovascular health. So, it's important to consider context and individual needs when evaluating these guidelines. Overall, understanding these requirements helps us appreciate how vitamin D plays a crucial role in maintaining our health. Now, let's talk about vitamin K deficiency. First, what causes it? Well, one common reason is fat malabsorption. Conditions like celiac disease or cystic fibrosis can interfere with the body's ability to absorb fats properly, and since vitamin K is fat-soluble, this can lead to a deficiency. Additionally, liver disease can impair the synthesis of proteins involved in vitamin K metabolism, further contributing to the problem. Long-term use of antibiotics or anticoagulants can also disrupt vitamin K levels because they either kill the bacteria that produce it or interfere with its activity. Moving on to symptoms, a deficiency in vitamin K can manifest in several ways. You might notice easy bruising because the blood doesn't clot as effectively. Bleeding gums and frequent nosebleeds are also common signs, indicating that your blood isn't clotting properly. In newborns, this can lead to hemorrhagic disease, which is a serious condition where bleeding becomes difficult to control. Understanding these causes and symptoms is crucial because they tie into the overall importance of maintaining a balanced diet and monitoring medication use to prevent bleeding issues related to vitamin K deficiency. Let's talk about vitamin K in newborns. First, it's important to understand that newborns typically have low placental transfer of vitamin K from the mother. This means they don't get a significant amount of vitamin K through the placenta during pregnancy. Additionally, their gut is sterile at birth, so they can't produce vitamin K2 naturally because the bacteria needed for synthesis haven't been established yet. Another key point is that breast milk contains very low levels of vitamin K, which further increases the risk of deficiency. Because of these factors, newborns are at a higher risk of developing vitamin K deficiency bleeding, or VKDB, which can be serious. To prevent this, we give a vitamin K shot intramuscularly right after birth. This simple step is crucial because it ensures the baby has enough vitamin K to support proper blood clotting and prevent bleeding problems. So, in summary, due to limited natural sources and transfer, the vitamin K shot is an essential part of newborn care to protect against bleeding risks. Let's take a closer look at drug interactions, starting with warfarin, also known by the brand name Coumadin. Warfarin works by antagonizing vitamin K recycling, which is essential for blood clotting. Because of this, it's really important to regularly monitor the INR, or International Normalized Ratio, to ensure the blood's clotting ability stays within a safe and effective range. Another key point is that patients on warfarin need to keep their vitamin K intake consistent. Sudden changes in dietary vitamin K can affect how well the medication works and increase the risk of bleeding or clotting complications. So, maintaining a steady diet with respect to vitamin K helps keep therapy safe and effective. Overall, understanding these interactions helps us manage warfarin therapy more effectively and highlights the importance of careful monitoring and patient education. Let's talk about toxicity now. K1 and K2, which are the main forms of vitamin K, generally have a low risk of toxicity, even when taken in high doses. That's reassuring because it means they are quite safe for most people. However, the situation is different when it comes to K3 or menadione. This form is not safe. It can cause oxidative stress and even lead to liver damage if consumed in excess. So, it's important to steer clear of K3 supplements. Additionally, for K1 and K2, there's no established tolerable upper intake level, or UL, which means we don't have a defined limit for how much is safe to take. Overall, this highlights the safety profile of K1 and K2, but also emphasizes caution with K3. Now, let's look at some of the exciting clinical applications and ongoing research involving K2. One key area is osteoporosis management, where K2 has shown promise in supporting bone health and reducing fracture risk. It's also being explored for improving arterial health, particularly in patients with chronic kidney disease, who often face vascular issues. Additionally, there are ongoing studies investigating K2's potential benefits for cognitive health. Another important point is that K2 is frequently used together with vitamin D, as they work synergistically to enhance bone strength and overall health. These applications highlight how K2 could play a versatile role in various health conditions, aligning with our broader discussion on its importance for maintaining optimal health. Let's wrap up with a quick summary of vitamin K. As we've seen, it's essential for several critical functions in our body. First, it plays a key role in blood coagulation, helping to prevent excessive bleeding. It's also vital for bone mineralization, which keeps our bones strong and healthy. Additionally, vitamin K contributes to vascular health, supporting the integrity of our blood vessels. You can find it naturally in leafy greens like spinach and kale, as well as in fermented foods. It's important to remember that a deficiency in vitamin K can lead to serious bleeding disorders, highlighting how crucial it is for our overall health. Lastly, while it's been known for a long time, vitamin K's role in clinical nutrition continues to evolve, especially as new research uncovers additional benefits. So, in the context of our entire presentation, vitamin K is a prime example of how essential nutrients have diverse and vital roles in maintaining overall health and adapting to our modern nutritional understanding. And that brings us to the references section. Here, I want to highlight some of the key sources that informed our discussion today. First, the National Institutes of Health, or NIH, provides a wealth of research and guidelines that are fundamental to understanding nutrition science. Then, we have the WHO Nutrition Guidelines, which offer global standards and recommendations for healthy eating habits. The Journal of Clinical Nutrition is another vital resource, contributing peer-reviewed research that deepens our understanding of various nutritional topics. Additionally, PubMed hosts a vast collection of scientific articles that support the evidence behind the practices we've discussed. I encourage you to explore these sources further if you're interested in more detailed information. And finally, I want to thank you all for your attention and engagement throughout this presentation. Your interest in nutrition and health is what truly makes this worthwhile.